Hello, welcome to the vlog without a plan. Hi, my name is Paige. Welcome to my channel and welcome to this clear my shelf video without a plan. So, as you can see from the title and the opening clip, I went into this without any sort of plan about what this should be, when my initial plan for my clear my shelves video was to have a theme that connected all of the books that I'm reading. And ironically, I will tell you about a theme that I just figured out right now as I sat down to film, but that will come at the very end of this video. But anyway, if you haven't seen any of my previous clear my shelves video, I will link a playlist in the cards for you and you can check those out. Essentially, I am trying to get this TBR shelf under 60, hopefully, ideally, down to 0. But I like to buy books, so that might not be possible. So 60 is my goal, and I am just trying to read 5 books at a time that have a similar theme and get through all of the books that are on my TBR in these videos. Did that make sense? I hope so. I'm a little tired. So in my latest video that I put out a couple of weeks ago, we got down to 132 books. We started at 145, we went down, I bought some books, we went back up, and so we're starting this video at 132 books, which is good. I feel like it's a pretty decent number. It's better than 145, and I will say that it keeps going down in this video, so it's something. So I am your host today because I did not have a plan going into this video, so a lot of my thoughts and stuff do not all connect. So I'm here to string everything along in a way that makes sense, and we are going to start off with my first read of this video. So I decided that I have a few books that I just know are not going to have any place to fit. So once we hit 5 books in this vlog that will have no solid theme at all, we're gonna call it good and make that one of my clear my shelves books. So I don't know what's gonna be in this. You are gonna find out with me throughout this journey, but we are gonna start off with Sundial by Katrina Ward. So it is currently February and I finished this in January, and I figured I would just give a little rundown of what this was and what I felt about it. So, how to explain this book? This is a horror book where there is a mother named Rob, and she has a lot of secrets from her past. There is a lot of mystery about what kind of person she was, and she is in not a great marriage with this man named Irving, and they share 2 daughters together, and one of their daughters, Callie, starts to show some weird signs of things that she's doing, and Rob decides that in order to make sure that Callie is okay and that whatever Rob's past doesn't come back and hurt Callie, she needs to take Callie to her former home in the desert called Sundial, and weird things happen there, and it's a book about like motherhood and sisterhood and good and bad and like nature versus nurture. It's very interesting, and I had a really fun time just trying to figure out what was going on. At no point did I really predict what was happening in this book. I just felt like I was totally along for the ride, and I can't say that I loved how it ended. I was a little confused by some things. I felt like there were plot points that didn't get wrapped up as well as they could have, but it was still fun. It was spooky, it was creepy, there were creepy kids involved, and I feel like that's just a good time. So I did end up giving this 4 stars, but yeah, I would recommend it if you are into like creepy kids, a little bit of horror. There is a lot of animal cruelty and animal death in this, so be very wary if that is something that triggers you or upsets you, that it is heavily involved in this, but I would recommend it. And I would say that if you enjoyed Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shauna McGuire, there were some elements of this book that really reminded me of that. So we're gonna call that good, and I hope that I can edit this clip to not look like a Smurf. So let's find out what I'm reading next for this vlog. So coming off of this first book, I actually was thinking, okay, I could go into like a paranormal horror type of theme, but I ended up just not picking any of those types of books for my TBRs, and if I did pull any of them, I had already planned to include them in other videos. So I just started thinking like, okay, this is just gonna be a recent reads video, and that's what I've been titling this in my iMovie as I've been throwing clips into it, so it's become more of a recent read, and that is how I ended up with my next pick. Okay, I'm adding this book to this vlog because I didn't have any plans for this book at all. So, Thank You for Listening is about a audiobook narrator who has been through a lot and she doesn't really believe in love anymore, and there is this other male audiobook narrator who has made like a big name for himself. Like, people adore his voices in all of his romance stories, and she and him have to pair up for a book from a deceased author who requested both of them, and it is a romance, and along the way they form a sort of friendship, and there's some other things that go along in it, but it was a cute romance. That being said, that is all that I remember about it. I will admit that I was playing The Sims while I was listening to this, and maybe I was too focused on the new Infants update, but I don't remember much about this. I was kind of honestly a little bit bored. I do remember I had to raise the speed quite a lot because I wasn't loving any of these characters. So with the main character, her name is Swanee, and she was in an accident that caused her to lose an eye, and she is obviously like really struggling with that and her new life after that, and she has mostly healed from it, but there's still some like recurring feelings where like she doesn't think that people accept her how she is, or that she doesn't feel like she's really worthy of care and affection and love because of being without her eye and being disabled. So there's a lot of her just being very negative in her thoughts and being very gloomy a lot of the time, and I can't say that like I was bothered by it, but I felt like it went on for a long time, so it just kind of felt sad to read her parts, and I think that is like a point of view that I would appreciate in another mindset, but because I am a sad girl myself right now, it was just kind of like, oh, okay, we're just back to the sad melancholy tone where when I'm reading a romance, I don't want to feel that sad. Like, there are books like Beach Read and Book Lovers. Oh my god, how did I forget the name Book Lovers? And Book Lovers, like they had sad elements, but I don't know, there was just something about this that felt a little bit off, but I'm going to fully attribute it to me playing Sims the entire time and kind of focusing a little bit more on my Sims raising their cute little infants more than paying attention to this. So total my bad, but I think I might give it another go another time. So I kind of feel bad because I love Julia Whelan. I loved her narration. It was so good. For her narration alone, I always give things a higher score than I think they deserve, but I think I just need to give it another chance. I just was a little bit bored. Won't lie. After finishing this one, I then started to get more ideas, and I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna turn this more into like a vlog. So I wanted to get more b-roll of things that I was doing recently, different recipes I was trying, because there was like a pasta salad I was making for lunches that I was really loving. I also had some sprints with friends along the way. I was trying out a dinner that I was really excited to try out, and I was just trying to get a lot of b-roll that I could include in this video to make the vlog seem a little bit more cozy, and I then never talked about any of those things in this video, so you are now hearing me speak about those things that I intended to string along into different clips, and it just didn't work out because I got a little bit into a slump, and it wasn't really a reading slump so much as just like a personal energy slump where I did not want to film anything. I would read things and I would just stack all of these books into a giant pile and say, I'll talk about them later. I'll film a clip about those tomorrow. And it just started to become a thing. So I had to slowly crawl my way out of that slump, and in doing so, I got to this next clip. So I started and read The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches in one day, and I just forgot to ever check it at all for this. So I read this a couple of days ago, and I ended up really liking it. Like, I'm still thinking about it. It's like super sweet and just very cozy magic feeling, if that makes sense. So this is following Mika, and she is a witch, and she lives in a world where witches have a few rules where they are not allowed to associate with each other, because if they are around each other too much, then magic starts to like attract around them, and that could then lead to people finding out that they are there, and who knows how people would treat witches, because in history people have not treated witches very well. So Mika is a very lonely witch, and she just really wants connection, and one day somebody finds her doing online witchy videos where she's like pretending to be a witch, and they know that she's a real one, and they want her to come in and teach 3 young little witch sisters. And so she goes to this little, I don't know if it's a cottage, this little this estate or something, to teach these 3 young witches how to control their magic, because they are very young and out of control, and they can't go out into the world and do fun things as a family and stuff because they can't control their magic. So Mika is there to help them, and there is a, I don't know if he's a groundskeeper. What is he? He's like, oh, he's the librarian. He works for the estate owner, and they form some sort of like contentious relationship that could lead to a little bit more. So it is mostly more on the like the fantasy, witchy, cozy vibes than it is romance, but there's definitely like a heavier romance element in this. But I was definitely comparing this to The House in the Cerulean Sea a lot. It is a little bit more adult because there is that spicy element. Not very spicy, honestly, like not even a chili pepper, but you know, it has a little bit more of adult themes in that regard than House in the Cerulean Sea did, but it still had like that loneliness, turn to found family sort of vibe in this. So I had a really good time reading this. I thought it was super duper cute, and I enjoyed listening to the audiobook, so I would definitely recommend this one. But yeah, definitely recommend, and I guess I will tell you what the next book is when I read it. If you couldn't see in that clip, and even in this one, I am still just very low energy lately, so I did love this book. I swear I did. I might not have sounded as excited in that clip as I meant to, but it was a very, very good book. But we have made it all the way to April, and I'm still just kind of feeling a little meh all the time. I don't have a lot of energy to pick up the camera. I think it's also the weather changing a lot. It's been nice and cold on some days, and I feel the energy to like, okay, we can film and it feels nice outside, and then other days like today it is almost 90 degrees and I'm in my room sweating. So I feel like the change of weather, the changing of the seasons has really impacted like how I feel. I'm not quite ready for summer yet, so every time it's a little bit hot, I'm just like, I just want to sit on the couch all day long. But despite not feeling the greatest, I did finally film my last clip because I just forgot to film the 3 books separately, so here they are together. Alright, I have some books to talk about because I just like have been refusing to film at all. So every single one of these books I meant to do like 50% updates and whatnot. So we're gonna start off with the first one that I read, which is Lore Olympus, which was my February book club pick. And we decided to go with a graphic novel, switch things up a little bit, and I did not like this one whatsoever. So this is like a graphic novel with Greek retellings, and it just didn't have much to it in my opinion. I felt like the characters were all the exact same personality. They were very childish too, but it's more like an adult content sort of graphic novel, so I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but that also could really be because I don't know a lot of Greek myths. It was not something that I either paid attention to in school, or I just don't think a lot of my teachers went over them. I don't know if it was because I switched districts a couple of times when I was going through school, so like I missed some based on different curriculum at different districts, so I don't really know. But Greek myths were not something that I ever like fell in love with, so reading this I was so confused. There's always so many characters that I don't know how to tell anybody apart, especially in this one where they all just like felt very one-dimensional. So wasn't the biggest fan of this, but it did get read, and it was only like a $10 purchase, which is not so bad. It was on sale when I bought it, so I don't feel like I wasted a lot of my money. And then we have another on sale purchase that I grabbed, which is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. I can't, she said her name in the audiobook and I totally forgot it, but I could have done without this one. I feel like if you have read like Atomic Habits, if you have read anything about the law of attraction, just anything that like has like that positive thinking and believing in yourself and forming better habits for yourself, if you've read anything like that, you won't get anything out of this. And I honestly feel like some of the things that she said in this were just kind of rude, and there was a lot of insults, you know, where it was like, you are a lazy cow, just get off the couch and just do what you want to do, like stop holding yourself back. And it just kind of ignores a lot of like mental health issues and other things that could hold somebody back, and things that are very valid, and reasons why people aren't always as productive and ambitious as they want to be. Like you could be in your own head saying like, I want to do this so badly, and she just kind of is like, then do it. you know? So I didn't like the attitude that she had in this one very much. It just felt very rude, and I think it was pretty of its time. I think this was published in like 2013. Yeah, 2013. So, you know, 10 years ago. I think everyone had like a different mindset around certain things. I think I had just gotten out of high school at that time too, and like mental health wasn't really talked about that much, and that was just 10 years ago. I feel like it was just kind of like, yeah, go to therapy, but no one was really like talking about the therapy, you know, the things that you went through, everything that it takes to make yourself feel better on the inside too. So it didn't really hit the mark for me, but it was okay, you know. It felt like a little bit of a refresher too, to think more positively, because I do tend to like go into like, I can't do this will never happen, I'll never feel better again, you know. So it was like a kind of nice refresher, but I do feel like some of the language was a little meh. But let's talk about the book that I did like, which was Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa. This essentially is a recent favorite fanfiction. Like, it has to have been, right? There's no other explanation, because it was 100% them, and I had a really fun time. It's such an easy read. I read it in about a week, I would say, just like on my Kindle before and after bed, and it was super duper easy to read. So essentially this is following a woman who has made a lot of bargains with a man called the Bargainer, and for every bargain that you make you get like a bead, and he can come back at any time in your life and cash in on those beads, so you have to then do him a favor. And she has racked up like 300 something beads, and he comes back after like 7 years of just leaving her alone and is like, hey, you have some deals you have to pay back, and it goes from there. And I will say, it was not as spicy as I expected it to be. Like, I expected those bargains to be very steamy and spicy, but that was not how it went. It was actually pretty sweet and like lighthearted and lovey-dovey in some ways. So don't be prepared, or I guess be prepared for it to not be basically a sauna. It's not that steamy, but it was pretty fun, and I really wanted to continue on with the series, but the rest of the series was on Kindle Unlimited, and I don't own the rest of them, and I'm trying to not buy any books. I'm being very, very good, okay? I'm being very brave about not buying any books, so I guess I will just have to wait and wait and wait until it either is on Kindle Unlimited or I can purchase some more books, because I want to keep going. It was just fun. It was just so easy and lighthearted to read, so I really had a fun time reading this, and it was recommended to me by Randy Lynn, and so thank you for that recommendation. It was a good one. I did enjoy it. Alright, let's wrap up this video. So we finally rounded them all up. I honestly felt like I could push this video even longer, because there are some books on my April TBR that I know would be able to easily fit into this, that are just more recent reads and stuff, but I decided to cut it here, because if you couldn't already tell, I didn't just hit 5 books, we hit 6 of them. And so that means we went from 132 books all the way down to 126 because of these 6 books that I refuse to talk about. But look at these books, they all have the same color scheme. I could have gone with a color scheme for this video, but alas, hindsight is 2020 and we did not know. So these are my recent reads that I have gotten through and included all in one video. So I'm hoping that if I finish the other books that I was wanting to include in this video, I can make like a part 2 of this and just continue on with the recent reads. So that might be what I end up doing with a lot of these clear my shelves video, where if I don't have a specific theme in mind, they might just become recent reads, which I think is totally valid, and if I can come up with a theme along the way, I definitely will. But sometimes it just doesn't work out. I've made a theme for so many of these books, but there's still about like 50 or so that I don't know what I'm gonna do with them. So if you ever want to take the time and look at my Goodreads and look through my want to read list, those are all of the books that are on my shelf, and you can come up with a couple of theme ideas for me. I do have some friends who have told me some ideas that they think I should include, so I've written those down. I've saved them for later, so that would definitely help me out with putting out more of these videos, because it really does keep me motivated to read what is on my TBR, so I can put out these clear my shelves video for you, because I think that you like watching people tackle their TBRs, because I know I do. Anyway, I have been rambling. I am tired. I still need to finish editing this video, so we are going to end here, and I will see you soon for another clear my shelves video. If you want to see my journey of getting this shelf down to 0, hopefully, maybe, go ahead and subscribe, and yeah, I will see you in my next video, which should be out very, very shortly. All right, bye.